To what extent did the election results help propel this bill to the finish line? And how were you able to bridge the gap last night between moderates and progressives?
Well, you know, I'm not being facetious with the answer I'm about to give you, but I'm not going to be a prognosticator and make a judgment on how the election could or would have been different. Each state is different, and I don't know. But I think the one message that came across was get something done. It's time to get something done. Stop talking. Get something done. And so I think, again, that's what the American people are looking for. And I think it's a legitimate, and when you ask how we were able to bring things together, well, you know, look, all kidding aside, I believe everybody in the process is entitled to be treated with respect. And I've been doing this kind of thing, doesn't mean it's not all me, but I've been doing this thing my whole life. I've been able in the Senate to put things together when people said they couldn't be put together, just by making the overwhelming point that you can't have all you want. It's a process. There's no one piece of legislation that's going to solve everybody's problems. So I spent a lot of time, as you probably heard, with a lot of people, both political parties and within my party, saying, look, if we move on what's here in this bill, that is the infrastructure bill, it is a game changer in a half a dozen ways. The fact that it has too much of what you don't want and more than you, and not enough of what you don't want, just let's be reasonable. Let's take a look at this. Let's do what we all agree at a minimum is in the interest of the American people. And if you want to add more, we can fight about it later. Or you want to subtract some of it. I've never voted for a major piece of legislation, an omnibus bill, that I was for every piece of it. People say, well, how do I explain this? I said, well, you explain to the American, your constituency, and I'm not telling you how to do it, but you go home and say, this is what it did. It had one piece in here, there's not enough money for this, or there's too much money for that, but overall, this has been a gigantic benefit to my congressional district. And so I spent a lot of time taking questions from both, and by the way, everybody at the end of the day, I have to admit, dealt with me fairly. I mean, and part of the process, and it's probably more than you need to know, but part of the process is getting to know all the people personally again. I've been out of government for 4 years. I used to do this every day. I used to know about everybody's district I was working with when I was vice president. I know them and call up and say, hey, Charlie or Harry or Mary. And so it's getting to know a lot of these people, to build trust. Because everything I say I'm going to try to do, I will try to do. And I think that's also part of the process. And so hopefully it can continue.